Hey there, welcome to the Bronx Buzz, a special show this evening. We're going to talk about how to make Bronx school kids do better in both of our segments. We always talk about how we talk to reporters and writers and editors and authors. And in our first segment, we're going to talk to a school principal in the Bronx who has written a book. And then in our second segment, we'll do a photography with the Bronx Junior Photo League. And that will be interesting and exciting. But it's always a pleasure to talk about. He's known as the Bronx Principal. He's at CS 55 in Claremont. My buddy Louis Torres. Mr. Torres, nice to see you.
Nice to see you as well. It's always nice to be on this show.
Well, we got a lot to talk about, and our commitment, and I mean not only me, but BronxNet Television. The commitment is to having our kids do better, and not only educating them, but having them do better. So let's get right to it. You wrote a book and put out a book, and congratulations on that. The 6 priorities: how to find the resources your school community needs. Let's just talk about the vision of that book. Did you always want to write a book? Did something happen that you said, somebody better write this book? How did this come about?
Yeah, so I've been a principal for over 18 years. And as a principal, people know that I get the resources. I'm able to secure resources, whether it's through elected officials or private funding. But everyone's always wanting to know, what's the secret? Why do you get this money? Why do you get investment in your school building? Why do you get all the partnerships? And basically, I decided to write this book so that people can have the answers to their questions and basically be able to pick up a book, and whatever they need for their school community will be able to get those resources for their school. So at the end of the day, my whole goal with the book was to give the leaders of schools across the country a tool that they can use so that they can get those resources they need for their school communities.
You mentioned resources, and recently, and I am just blown away by how great it is. One of many miracles that come out of CS 55. You had a soccer field built.
Yeah.
I want to know, how do you get the resources to do that? Who wouldn't want to, in this day and age, with the population that we have, to put a soccer field as part of the educational complex? So let's start the practicality. How did that happen? And then we can apply it to some of the theories in the book.
So a lot of what I do is on social media, and a lot of the partnerships I establish is through social media, as well as word of mouth and connections with the community. So I partnered up with an organization called Street Soccer USA. They adopted our school. They have been doing programs with our school for over 6 years now, but sadly, they never had a field to play on. So when our schoolyard fell under disrepair, I decided to convert the schoolyard into a soccer stadium. And this was because the president of, or the CEO of Street Soccer USA, his name is Lawrence, he got someone to donate the money for the field. It's going to be named after a gentleman who passed away. And we said, why not? Let's just do it. Let's build this soccer stadium. And with FIFA coming, it was just foresight.
How can I ask how much money went into it?
Yeah, so we were able to secure over $500,000 in private funding and support from our city councilwoman, Althea Stevens. She came through for us.
And listen, if you look at the value added of what we're going to get as a result of that, is it full length, or is it not? Because you'd need a lot of space to do a full, what is it, 120-yard soccer field.
So we don't have a full length soccer field because we play what is called street soccer. Street soccer is 5-on-5. Mm-hmm. So we actually have 2 soccer fields. They open up to a bigger field.
Wow.
We're going to be using for flag football, as well as softball, wiffle ball.
Oh, of course.
Sports. So it's not just going to be soccer. And then we're working on now putting a bubble over it, because sadly our school doesn't have a gym. So this will become almost like our gym.
Stop. I can't take it anymore. Listen, it's wonderful. The one thing that you are not saying is one of the reasons that companies like that or other organizations will partner with you is because they know that this is a quality school, that the principal is committed to all things in the school, and that there are nice results in a lot of different areas. So let's get into the six priorities. Do you want to name them, or how do you want to do it? Do you want to break it down?
So
Because we want soccer fields everywhere.
so for a lot of our families, education is a sixth priority. Food, shelter, safety, health, access to technology come before education. And it's not because the families don't value education, it's just that life's necessities come before education. So the idea behind the book is that we have to address those five basic needs before we can then focus on education. So the book is broken down into chapters where we talk about how to address food, how to address safety, how to address security, how to address lack of technology. So we address all those basic needs, and I give you strategies on how to get those resources, who to partner with, and I pretty much give you a blueprint of how to get
Wow.
the work done in your building.
What you say is of course what you do and what you practice every single day. That teaching math and science and social studies and all the things we do is very nice. But if the child is not in a position to accept it and has other considerations, frankly, because maybe they are food insecure, or goodness gracious, 10% of school children are coming out of shelters every day. I mean, it's too ridiculous to be believed. You can't get there unless you deal with the first there, so to speak. And I understand what a principal goes through because of the pressures to show the numbers, to get the graduations, and say, "Look, I got to get my kids through this, and I got to get enough of them through it. I can't be dealing with this." I understand it, although that may not be the best strategy.
Yeah, and I always tell people, if you don't feed the children, they'll eat the teachers, right? The reality is, most of the issues that happen in school is because children are hungry or they're upset, they're dealing with trauma. We have to look at the root causes before we make determinations about our students. I don't know any family that wants their children to come to school and fail. I think that what happens is that we, as a society, haven't done enough to make sure that all children have equitable resources, and we're setting them up to fail. So as schools, we need to work hard to end those inequities so that our children can then focus on their education.
I hate to keep coming back to this but so much happened, because you don't want to give any excuses, because whatever the situation is, we've got to, look at what's going on all over the world. And you say, gee whiz, we don't have that, but, how much did the pandemic put your efforts back to deal with whole kids? We know that food insecurity exploded, for many reasons, in many ways. Obviously, inflation hasn't helped. Um, how much are we still recovering before you can get, or the people who read six priorities can get to where they need to be?
So the good and bad thing of the pandemic is that the pandemic showed what I've been dealing with all my career and all my life, literally. The
Wow.
inequities were not a result of the pandemic, right? They were existing way before the pandemic. And when the pandemic hit, actually, I was in a comfort zone because I have been dealing with these inequities all my life and all my career. So for me, as a school principal in the community I serve, I was able to sustain the hit of the pandemic and bounce back pretty strong.
Because you had, well, let me just really clarify that, because you had been dealing with food insecurity, health inequities, poverty, all these other things. And so it just prolonged it and put an underline. So in that way, you were like, I'm in better shape because I've been doing this all these years. That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, congratulations, but it's crazy. And so you, in that way, you weren't set back. You were just doing it more and better and more efficiently. Is there one particular advice, or one or two particular advices you'd give to a colleague? Now, I know you are let's see, I want to just get it. You're the president of the New York City Elementary School Principals Association. If a principal comes to you, and I'm sure they do, and they, like you said, how do you get all that stuff? But really, what should I do? What's the first thing to do? Do you run a meeting with parents? Do you talk to the elected officials? What's the first thing you do to try and sort this out and move it from point A to point B?
So in the book, I tell people you got to be a beggar and a hustler, and you have to change your mindset. You can't be afraid to beg and hustle for resources. The people who go out there and ask for the resources will get them. So it's changing your mindset, because at the end of the day, we're not asking for things for ourselves. We're asking for our children, for our communities. So it's okay to beg and hustle when it has nothing to do with your own personal gain. It's about benefiting your community. So I tell people you got to change your mindset. And then I tell people you got to tell the difference between wants and needs. We all want a beautiful school, but what is it that you truly need? Once you identify what you truly need, then it's easier to go and get those resources. Nobody wants to invest in principals that don't know what they really need.
So, in the back of my mind, there's a lyric, and it's terrible that I can't place it, but it's all up to what you value now is the lyric that I remember. And what you expressed was a matter of values. So, yes, everybody wants a beautiful school and a clean school, but having that and having kids who are not comfortable in a classroom for other reasons than the beauty of the school, you got to get to that value, right? I mean, that's really what the message is.
So I want a clean and beautiful school, but I really needed a soccer stadium because our children didn't have a place to go out and play. And now hopefully if we get the dome put in, which we're working on, we'll have a gym space.
Well, and
we have gyms.
And I can understand a principal saying, but I don't have a gym. On the other hand, he knows the kids are restless. And certainly after sitting and looking at computer screens for 2 years, the most important thing they can do is get the heck out of there and get running and get out their energies and using, of course, athletics for what it can give to kids. And that goes back to values. So the book is The 6 Priorities, How to Find the Resources Your School Community Needs. Attention educators, check it out, right? That's what we're doing.
Listen, they lose out if they don't get it,
They don't get it. Listen, congratulations on all the great work that you do. And I know everything that you're committed to comes down to one thing, and that's helping our children do better, period. And I know I'm on all your social media, so I know we're talking about the same thing on the weekends. We're talking about them on the vacations. We're talking about them 24/7. And thank you for leading the way for all of us, Luis Torres.
Thank you, Gary, for everything you do.
Great.
Without people like yourself, promoting the positive stuff in our communities, we only see the negative. So thank you.
Well, you're welcome, and obviously this will go on. We're going to take a short break and do a segment about something that fits right in. We're going to talk about the Bronx Junior Photo League. We'll be right back.